chaotic withdrawal at the end of the 20-year war.
And joining me now is the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Congressman Michael McCaul of Texas. So, Congressman, first, tell me, why did you feel that it was necessary to hold this roundtable today, and what was your big takeaway from what you heard from these families?
Well, we want to give the parents of the children, the service members who were brutally killed in this massive suicide bombing attack, I wanted to give them a voice and let them know that the Congress is listening to them. I think the American people are listening to them, and I hope the administration will listen to them. I think part of it is, that it's gripping, powerful testimony, and the administration continues to stonewall and not provide them the answers that they, I think, are deservingly should have. We found out through our investigation that one of the snipers had the suicide bomber in his sights, and then when he talked to his commanding officer, he was denied permission to engage the threat. We also found out that the intelligence community knew of an ISIS-K staging event at a hotel room to plan the suicide bombing attack at Abbey, and a request was made for an airstrike. That too was denied. So these parents are very frustrated with the fact that their children died, and yet it maybe could have been prevented. We want to talk to the commanding officer who denied that permission, and yet we've been stonewalled by the Department of Defense. Finally, after pressure from the families and from myself, they will make him available in early September. But we need to get answers to these questions for these families, and quite honestly, they do deserve better than this. They've not been treated well by this administration. And I think the administration wants to forget that this happened and sweep it under the rug, but we're not going to forget about this. And I think they are entitled to these answers.
And you read a statement from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Milley, at the beginning of your remarks, where he essentially says that he felt as though they had communicated well with these family members, that they had given them all the information that they could, but if there was some breakdown in communication, he wanted to rectify that. Do you agree with that assessment from the general? And where's the disconnect between what the Department of Defense has thought about their interactions with these families and how the families feel about it?
Well, as a federal prosecutor, you have victims, you coordinate with them. I don't think the Defense Department did a very good job coordinating with these Gold Star families. Having said that, General Milley and I have talked. I was encouraged. He actually apologized in his email or text, and I commend him for that. But, it's one thing to apologize, then assist us in this investigation. Since I talked to General Milley, they are going to make the commanding officer, available to testify. But, in leadership, when you make a mistake and you fail, you own it. And President Truman said the buck stops here. They feel like the buck is being passed on and forgotten about. And that's what really hurts them the most as they think about their children who lost their lives that actually could have been prevented had there not been so much chaos on the ground. Finally, Ryan, the State Department is supposed to be in charge of this evacuation, and yet they didn't seek an evacuation plan from the Defense Department until 2 days after Kabul fell. The president put them under enormous artificial deadlines. It was not necessary. So the whole thing was chaotic on the ground under artificial deadlines, and nobody knew who was in charge. And that's what led to the chaos and the suicide bomber that killed 13 servicemen and women, injured 45, and killed 170 Afghans. Right. This is a massive suicide bomb attack.
So the Pentagon did respond to the roundtable today and some of the comments that were made. I want to play that for you and give you the chance to respond.
Sure.
In terms of responding to some of the comments that were made, I think that CENTCOM conducted a very comprehensive, credible, and definitive investigation into the Abbey bombing following the attack. Our U.S. military commanders on the ground made the best decisions that they could.
So, Mr. Chairman, she said credible and definitive account of what went wrong there. I sense that you don't feel the same way.
No, I don't. And the families don't feel that way either. I mean, it was in their words, not mine. They are very upset and angry at this administration for not dealing with them in a straightforward manner and transparent manner. They can cooperate with me, or they can try to, I can do subpoenas and move to, to hold them in contempt. I would rather have them cooperate and be honest with these families and with the American people. And, you know, I've been stonewalled. I've had to subpoena documents. The after-action report you're referring to, it took months to get that, and I still can't get all the documents surrounding that. So, you know, it's encouraging, but because we got the Gold Star families to speak up, now they're finally listening after 2 years, but that's 2 years too long.
Yeah. All right, I just do want to ask you quickly while we have you, sir, about the situation in Ukraine. There does appear to be a lot of skepticism, I should say, among Republican voters about continuing to aid Ukraine. It came up on the debate stage last week with the Republican candidates for president. How do you convince people in your own party that supporting Ukraine is still in the U.S. national interest?
Well, because what happens in Ukraine also directly impacts Taiwan. And I just got back from there. You know, Chairman Xi and Putin are joined at the hip in this unholy alliance. Having said that, going back to the debate, I was encouraged that really 7 of the 8 support the effort in Ukraine. And I think you'll see the majority of the majorities in Congress still support this effort. My criticism has been they haven't been given the weapons necessary for victory, but rather to survive. And I think with the counteroffensive, the administration did not serve Ukraine well. Having said that, you know, we're going to take a look at this, but they did not collaborate with us. And I've talked to the speaker. We are going to take a look at this, but this is going to be our supplemental bill with our ideas, and we have the power of the purse, and the executive cannot force us into this. But I do think we are going to reach a resolution to continue to support Ukraine against Russian aggression.
All right, Congressman Mike McCaul, a very powerful roundtable that you hosted today. We appreciate having you on to talk about it. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me.